Hello, everybody. This is Nemo from Middle East Still Single. If you like the content, please like and subscribe. Peace.
We are here with a continuation. We had a great conversation last week about the mass shootings. Today, we're going to continue that conversation, but today we want to focus on solutions. What to do? What do we do about it? Nemo, you're up first today, brother. What's the solution for this mass shooting problem?
Man, what the fuck is going on, America? I am pissed off. Now we're talking about kids killing kids, and now we want to talk about it. Now let's talk about kids in the 70s, 80s, and early 90s, and gun compared to the current state that we are right now. In the 70s, 80s, 90s, what do we have? We have people with guns. They can take their gun, go hunting. Second Amendment, right to bear arms. Have a gun, protect yourself. Kids go to school, they come back, they're disciplined, they have structure. You know when you mess up in school, when you come back home, you're going to have problems. But compared to now, teachers are stranded. They can't do anything. They can't say anything because the higher up doesn't want them to say anything. So it's all up to the parents. I have a solution. Now, if you think about Australia, have the same gun policy as American back in the days. In 1998, Australian had a mass shooting. There was a guy that was getting bullied, went to a coffee shop or cafe in Australia, started shooting everybody. Went outside, continues shooting. After the shooting, everybody in Australia was like, "Oh my God, that got to stop!" Everybody was uproar. And in Australia, they had a gun reform, and I think that's something American can adapt in this country. I'm not saying you can't have a gun. Of course, you can have a gun, but the solution is before you can buy a gun, it'll take 3 months. Background check needs to include your medical history. Parents needs to be more aware of what's going on. They have to teach their kids to be disciplined. Not everything can be handed to you. Nowadays, kids get everything for free. Take Nas, for example. Nas can be on a game, pass the ball to the wrong teammate 3-4 times. At the end of the game, what happened? Nas get a medal. Congratulations. Me and Rob can be playing basketball one-on-one as a kid. Back up on him, dunk on him like Shaquille O'Neal. At the end of the game, Rob get a medal. Everybody gets a medal. There's no adversity. We don't learn anything. So my solution moving forward is, if you're going to get a gun, there has to be a reason for it. Why are you getting a gun? You want to get a gun for hunting? That's perfect. I don't know much about gun, but if you're going to get a long rifle to shoot somebody or to shoot a deer, then it needs to be one of those where you take a shot and you pause 5 seconds, then you reload, take another shot. You do not need a military-based weapon to go gun hunting or anything like that. Parents needs to be more responsible. Now, when this came out in Texas about the kids getting killed, a gentleman, this one of our crew here says, "What about God?" Of course, that's a good question. Where's God in all of this? I'm a Christian, and I have flaws. I'm not perfect. I'm always trying to learn. But that's a good question. Where's God in all of this? And I struggle with my faith sometimes, and I question I question God sometimes because I'm still looking for answers. Why are kids being born blind? Why are kids being born with disability? Why are 5, 6 years old going through cancer treatment? I question those things. But I would say God would never start anything that has not been finished. Let me repeat that. God would not start something that has not been finished. So if you look at Nemo, God looked at Nemo and said, okay, Nemo is completed. Now he's going to go backward and say, okay, now Nemo needs to be born because my job my job is finished. So when it comes to faith and all these things going on in the world, I question it just like Nas, Mitch, and you guys all have doubts. I have my doubts too. I struggle sometimes. But I know I believe in God and I believe in something. And I'm praying to everybody in Texas. I give my condolences, my prayers to every parent because I can't imagine it. I just hope with time we heal their wounds. So now, take it away.
That was very powerful, man. My I have the same level of energy about it. I think it's very, very upsetting and no excuse for what we're hearing coming out of Texas. If you take this specific case, right? The failure of law enforcement from top to bottom in Texas is indicative of the reason why there has to be different solutions to the gun problem. Or you're going to continue to have dead children and angry young men like Nemo, because the only thing that we can do is be angry. My solution to the gun problem, and also to have to prevent mass shootings, if the public accepts the fact that there is no need for high-powered automatic weapons in a city. Cities are not war zones. I don't care how bad the place is. There's no need for high-powered weapons. I think if every citizen wanted to have a handgun, I would have no problem with that. Because at a minimum, you're going to kill 6 people or however many people a handgun magazine can take. I think some Glocks have 19 or 20 shots, all right? But that's still not a high-powered weapon that can fire through metal, right? Like the AR-15. It's a military-grade weapon. What we need to do is outlaw the military-grade weapons. Not all weapons, but the military-grade weapons, the weapons that have no real hunting benefit. No one would, in their right mind, would go hunting with an AR-15. So the only reason you have an AR-15 is to hunt people. Why are we allowing people to hunt people? If you're saying that it's they like to say that it's the people with the medical conditions, right? The medical problems, the psychological problems. Okay, we're never going to get rid of people with that problem. But what we can do is we can do away with the instrument of death that they use to cause carnage. And I think that everybody needs to be as upset as Nemo is right now, because this wasn't just a room. Last week we had old people. This week we have children. That's the cycle of life right there. So what else are we going to do? When we limit the amount that, I'll say this too, our congressmen and senators, it's the senators, because the Congress has already passed common sense laws that will limit, number one, background checks. It'll increase the background checks, what they can check, which will do some of the things that Nemo was talking about. And what the Congress does, the congressmen have also, the House has also passed, is laws that will do away with or make it harder for people to get the AR-15, right? Why do we need it? Handgun, you get you a handgun, you can protect your family. That's all you need.
Yep.
So my solution to this would be in terms of how to prevent further mass shootings, is get rid of the AR-15 style weapon. Get rid of all the weapons that fire 30 rounds a minute, right? We don't need those in our cities. The First Amendment is there for a reason, right? The First Amendment has not been outlawed, but the way that we have allowed 50 senators to hold the country hostage, because most of the country agrees that those things are not necessary. If you want to have a AR-15 style weapon, like Nemo said, it should take you 3 to 4 months to get that thing, maybe even longer than that.
6 months.
Because we have to, right, at a minimum, we need to know that the reason why you want that thing is to not to go out and cause carnage. And so I'll say again, and then I'll end here for myself. We have to get rid of the loophole that allows people children, anybody, unstable people, because rational people are not going to use an AR-15 and just kill somebody, right? But people who have psychopathic tendencies, people who are having a bad day, if they got it, they're going to use it. This young man specifically went and bought it for this purpose. He was able to do it because the law allowed him to. And I'm saying we should prevent that.
Mitch?
Who the hell is voting for re-election of the incumbents? That statement goes for a number of different topics. In this particular case, you know which side that I'm talking about, but there's no reason for any of these people to still be in there after 30 years. And I agree. In this particular situation, what do they think? Are votes really that important? Is money and lobbyists that really important? I'm sorry, I'm a gun owner. I love target shooting. I'm not a hunter, but I enjoy shooting my gun. But this is absolutely ridiculous to even. I can't even think about how to argue on how to keep a military style weapon in the hands of civilians in this day and age. Actually, in any day and age, there's no reason for it to be in society. What?
Let me ask you something, Mitch. You're a gun owner, right?
Yeah.
You just said you like to target shoot, right?
Yes.
So would it satisfy you if you went to a gun range and they had AR-15s there for you to rent and just fire it? Like, you don't have to have it in public, right? Mm-hmm. You don't get to buy it.
Yep.
But you get to shoot it and enjoy it. As a person who loves guns like you, because you said you like to target shoot. This is why I'm bringing this up. One other remedy could be that, right?
So, I don't know if that's a remedy. I've done that. I've fired automatic weapons, and it's a sense of power for about 7 seconds.
But that's all you need.
But that's not even target shooting. I enjoy target shooting. Target shooting is a skill. An automatic weapon is just a blatant blaze of laying down gunfire to halt an advance. That's really all it's about. And for hunting, no, sorry. There's no reason to be hunting with that. So let me go back.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're fine. You're fine. The background checks, I think they need to be tightened up. Let's go into solutions now. The background checks need to be tightened up, length of time extended, and there's probably more to that. But everything I'm reading right now is raising the age limit from 18 to 21 for long rifles. Handguns. Handguns, you have to be 21. That's not a viable solution. At 18, you've just graduated high school. When I went to high school, and when my kids went to high school, which is within the last 7 years, they didn't teach anything about guns, political science, or anything like that. These kids are absolutely mindless about how the world works in this country, right? And it's a very political issue. So my point is, 18-year-olds absolutely should not have any access to guns. Now, in most states, you can get them at 18, like in Texas. That needs to change, and they're going to change that. In California, it's 21. And in my opinion, even that's too young. I don't think you've had enough life experience to handle that kind of responsibility, let alone a vote. I think it needs to go back to 25 years old. And
Perfect.
I've got a lot of friends. I've got a lot of friends
That's
who are
perfect.
not going to like that. And I'm including handguns, my friends. I'm including handguns. All guns need to go to 25. You need some life experience to understand the power you hold in your hand
Absolutely.
when you have a weapon. I don't care if it's a single shot or if you can fire as fast as you can pull the trigger. It doesn't matter to me. You have the power to take someone's life. And we're
Absolutely.
so apathetic to life being lost now that I think you need more life experience before you own something like that. I think it just makes no sense to me that it's illegal for someone under 21 to buy a handgun or a beer, but they can vote and they can legally buy an assault weapon. It just makes no sense. All I want Congress to do is to get their heads out of their asses and use some common sense. Forget about the votes for 1 second. So you get voted out. You're still a 100 millionaire, you mother effers. As a quick example as to the kind of results we could see from small legislation like that, 30 years ago, roughly 25 to 30, 16 kids and a teacher were killed in a small town in Scotland. Yeah, you heard me, Scotland. What? There was a mass shooting somewhere else? Yeah, in the early 90s. 16 kids and a teacher were killed. The UK enacted super strict gun laws on all guns, handguns, hunting rifles, but mostly assault weapons, and pretty much banned them all. And since that time, I mean, they took no time at all. It did not take 3, 5, 7 years. None of the bullshit that we go through here. It was enacted quickly, and there's been 0 shootings since. And I believe that article was 2 years old when I read it. So I think that article is 2 years old. I read so much this week. So let's say we're 2 years old. You know, we're 2 years in behind. That's 0 since the early 90s. So we clearly, if you get those off the street, things change. Things change really quickly. But it's going to take it's going to take the people to make their assemblymen, their congressmen, and their senators to take action.
I completely agree.
The incumbent out. If you're a Democrat, vote for a different Democrat. If you're a Republican, vote for a different Republican. But if you're intelligent at all, you'll be an independent and see things in the whole. There, that'll piss people off. Good night.
So listen, man, my solutions are nothing like you guys' solutions, man. It's going to be very unpopular, but I'm going to take it to a different level. These things, though, to me, the more I read about it, and, you know, there were a lot of things in common, I think as a society, I think we need to sacrifice a little bit, right? I know everybody wants their privacy, but, you know, somebody says if you want to make an omelet, you're going to have to break a couple legs, right? So we need to start monitoring places where we can get a prognostication of these types of attacks. So I think there should be an agency out there that monitors social media a little bit more. All right. There's been a lot of communication between people on social media about different things. All right. Those people should be flagged. I know we like, oh, it's our right to privacy, big brother. But you know, what's the greater good here? There's a lot of hate language. Like there was hate language all over social media by the kid that did the shooting in Buffalo. All right. Had we known it and flagged it, it's something that maybe somebody could have stepped in and done something about it, prevent it. Like a lot of these things we want to try to do, you know, once it happens, then we try to be reactive about it. But I think we've got to try to locate these types of people beforehand and then intervene sooner. Another thing I would like to see done, and these are all like new laws that I would like to see done, that if you're caught with a possession of an assault rifle, I think you should be arrested for conspiracy to commit murder. All right? Just possession of it. All right? Because there's only one thing you could do with an assault rifle. right? Really, that's all you can do. All right, so
Commit mass murder.
yeah, it commit murder, yeah, and on a big level, at a big scale. So I think if you caught in possession, that should be conspiracy to commit murder, which comes with a heavier fine than maybe possession of a firearm. I'd also like something. Go back to the Buffalo shooting. That he was in communication with a lot of people that he was talking to about what he was about to do, and I think they could have intervened. They could have stopped it. Maybe they say, well, I didn't want to get involved. But anybody that had prior knowledge that you could prove through emails and text, I think they should be held accountable. I think they should be held accountable, as accessory to murder. And I know we're talking about, we're on a slippery slope here as far as like government intervention, but like, how much can we take of this shit? Like, how many times can we watch, kids trying to jump out of the window, or the pictures of 20 kids up on the screen, just sitting there, they're all deceased, and parents crying. Like, we have to make really abrupt, severe changes here, because otherwise things are not going to change. So, also, there's a couple of things. If you ever watch any show like Criminal Minds, and like Mindhunter is a great show about the behavioral analysis unit in Quantico for the FBI. So they do profiling. That. So what they talk about is there's trends with people who do this kind of crime, right? And one of the trends is one of the things that they have in common is cruelty to animals, right? So we should flag these kids early and then take away their rights early, right? To have a handgun, all right? If we know, most serial killers start out with animals and work their way up to killing mass amounts of people, right? We should be able to flag them. I'm not saying to like throw them in jail, all right? But what I'm saying is to flag them and don't let them have assault rifles or any weaponry at all. This is, and I know
you're making a lot of people mad right now.
I know. I am. But you know what? F it, right? We have to. If we want to see change, we got to make change. We can't keep doing the same.
Good, let's piss people
radical.
off then.
Yeah,
it's got to be radical.
No problem there.
Listen, and I read something, and people say, "Well, listen, that's my right to privacy. That's my big brother." But I was reading something today. It's Benjamin Franklin quote, right? And it's famous. Like, it's better for 100 guilty men to go free than one innocent man go to prison, right?
Go to prison.
So I'm gonna change that around. I'm gonna tweak it a little bit. I'm saying it's better for 100 men to have their rights infringed upon than to see one child die sitting at their desk in the school. That's my opinion.
That's dope, bro.
That's my opinion. We got to stop this bullshit, and we have to be able to give up some stuff in order to make this happen. So listen, if you aren't saying anything wrong on Facebook, if you're not talking about hating black people or white people or killing Asians, right? You shouldn't have to worry about who's watching. So what? Listen, nobody cares about you. All right. But what I'm saying is we have to give up a little something in order for this kind of thing to not happen again. If we have to give up some of our rights to privacy, some of our rights to bear arms. Last thing. So while I'm doing my research, people are hanging on to this Second Amendment, right? I want to say, what year was it now? Like 1789?
When the Constitution was signed? 1787.
1787. So we're holding on to that Second Amendment, right? So that was 70 years before slaves were free. We're holding on to something that was 70 years before slaves were free. And even after that, this Constitution was created, that amendment was created like over 120 years before women were even allowed to vote. But we want to hang on to that one amendment. Look, it's time to take a look at our Constitution and make it up to date. All right. And, life is different now. All right. We can't keep showing these kids dead. We can't do it no more. Enough is enough. Like, some of us are so tired of even, we don't want to go outside anymore. All right. We're afraid to go to any type of gathering. Right.
Yeah.
You can't go shopping. You can't go to school. I work at a hospital and I teach at a school. It's like, when is it going to happen to me? We got to stop this. All right.
Yeah, it is pretty scary right now. I mean, think about the parents and what they have to go through. Now, all parents are worried, should I take my kids to school? What might happen? Now, if I keep my kids at home, social anxiety. So they are left with no choice. Just like Miss said, one of the resolutions should be 25 years before you get a gun. Before you get I don't care what you say. It doesn't matter. You don't need a military-based rifle for anything. 25 years
Yeah,
old. Just
I
the
agree with that.
entire amendment too. You guys just said it's 70 years old. What lasts that long? It's time to do a reform on that and just make a couple of changes. Just like you said, Rob, some of this background check, like I said, it needs to involve medical history because you're going to see all those things from the child growing up and you're going to see all this information. They just, like Mitch said, it shouldn't take that long. Like what happened in Australia did not take that long. After that mass shooting, there was an uproar and everything changed. Everybody turned in their military-based weapon, and I think the government gave them their money back or some kind of reform, so they
They
got
had a
credit
buyback
for it,
program.
So
In
America
under
should
a
do the
year.
same thing.
In under a year in Scotland is what I read.
Yeah.
I don't know how long it
They
took
did
Australia.
that. They did a buyback in Maryland.
Yeah, something
Here's
like
the
that.
thing.
Back, yeah.
In 1791, that's when the Second Amendment was ratified, right? That's 5 years after the Constitution was signed. Okay? So we have a new country. We just came out of, the country still remembers fighting for their rights against a tyrannical queen and king, right? I understand at that time why you might say we need a well-armed militia. What are we going to do now? How can let me just say it this way. The reason for the Second Amendment, the larger reason for the Second Amendment, the legal reason for the Second Amendment, not all this bullshit people have made up over the years, but the legal reason for the Second Amendment was to prevent the government from taking people's property without a fight. That's what it was for. A well-armed militia to fight back against a tyrannical government. Now, fellas, let me ask you, can an AR-15 stop a bomb coming from the sky, from the government? This government is a million times more powerful than that government was in 1787. A well-armed militia is no longer fighting against a tyrannical government. We couldn't win. So now what have we done? This Second Amendment is now turned on the people. People are now killing each other because they say, I have a right to own a gun to fight against the government. But that's not why you got that gun anymore. You have that gun now to kill your own people who you were supposed to be protecting against the tyrannical government. There's nothing that we can do against the most powerful army on earth. The Second Amendment needs to be re-examined.
Needs to be
Do
reformed.
I think that nobody should have a gun? Absolutely not. But what I do think is that we have to reevaluate the America's obsession with it. We also have American culture has a denial of what works. Nemo pointed out, and Mitch pointed out, other countries that have implemented things that have worked. There aren't mass shootings every day in other countries, but it is here. One of the most advanced countries on earth. And we refuse to fix something that we clearly know is a problem. What the fuck does that say about us?
And that's one reason why I'm so pissed off is because this is dealing with kids. Now you have kids killing kids. So, that's a different level. These are kids, 18 years old, killing kids. So what are you going to do? What are we going to do about it? And the people higher up, they know what to do. They just don't want to do it. It's all about money.
They're
It's
holding
not
on to their
happening to
power.
their kids, so they don't care.
They want to,
Yep.
like Mitch said, they're holding on to their power, man.
Yep, and that's more
Senator,
important
let me
to
say
them.
this real quick, and then I'm going to stop talking. A U.S. Senator. Mitch think I'm finna go somewhere. I'm not going to do that,
Thank you.
Mitch.
No, thank
not
you
gonna
for
do that,
smiling,
Mitch.
Rob. He understood
I'm
why
not
I
going to do
laughed.
that, Mitch. I was going to go somewhere, but I'm going to go to a different place.
Let's keep
A
it serious.
U.S. Senator is a very powerful person. Once you get a taste of that power, baby, you ain't trying to let that go.
Mm-hmm.
You will do anything to keep that power. I had a friend, I told her, I said, high-level political people from the Congress on up and uber wealthy people who make whose net worth is 200 million and up, do not live like regular people. They just don't. Kevin Hart can call any president on planet Earth and get a meeting with him. Because that's what $200 million, he's worth more than that now, but that's what $200 million will get you. A senator can call any president on Earth, and that president's going to take that call.
Mm-hmm.
That is power on a whole nother level.
Oh, yeah.
They do not want to let it go. And that is the problem. That is why
It's up
we need
to us
reform.
to vote them out.
It's up to us. But the problem, Mitch, is we're stupid.
Yeah. As a
voters,
collective, you're
I'm
right.
sorry if I'm offending anybody. I am guilty too. But the public, some people should not be allowed to pick the people that lead us.
Well, I think
did
the
you
voting
guys
age
see? Did
needs
you
to go up,
guys
too.
see Herschel Walker struggle to complete a simple sentence?
I refuse to watch it. I did not see that.
And this guy is running for the
Biden
Senate.
can't complete a sentence either. So,
Yeah. Hey,
come on,
but
bro.
I hear you. I know I know the point you're making.
Listen, I think we're gonna need a part 3 to this conversation, man. I think
I could go on for another
I
hour.
think we definitely could. But listen, let's cut it here, gentlemen. As always, man, it's good to exchange some ideas for you, and we put out some stuff, different ways to try to attack this problem. I hope some people, take a look at this and decide to make a phone call or to hold somebody accountable. So, all right, gentlemen,
they comment and engage us.
Hey, last
if anybody out there that's been affected by this, we all understand you. We feel your pain.
we are all affected by this, guaranteed. Even if we don't live in Texas, even if we don't have
our
it
condolences
Absolutely.
to all the family.
All right.